Jack Roslovic's time in Columbus might be coming to an end, but does he deserve that? Does he deserve a place on the team? We're talking about all of that and more on today's Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Blue Jacket, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster. Going solo today. Hayden had work schedules, etc. So you'll have to deal with just me. I apologize for that. But thank you for listening. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day every day. Locked on Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms and also over on YouTube. You can find us on the SiriusXM app as well if you are a radio app person. Like I said, we're going to be talking all about Jack Roslovic today. We're going to be doing his season review. Morgan, one of our wonderful everydayers, I apologize in advance for how mean I'm about to be, but no, that's maybe not true. I don't think I'm going to be mean. I think I'm going to be critical, because I really wanted Jack Roslovic to succeed in Columbus, and I think in his first season with the team, he was great. 34 points in 48 games in his first season. He came straight in. He was holding out, I believe, with Winnipeg. And so it turned into he was skating in Columbus while he waited for the contract situation to resolve there. They traded him to Columbus, and he immediately was like, well, I guess I'm already here. I'll just hop on the ice. And he was great in that first season. And then it's just kind of gone downhill from there. And I think partially it's that the team hasn't been very good. So like maybe it's unfair of me to be like, hey, Jack Roslovic needs to be better because everyone on the team needs to be better. But I don't know. I want more than 44 points from him in 77 games, which is what he had this season. 11 goals, 33 assists. Last season he had 22 goals. Like that was great. Would I rather have a couple more points on top of that? Yes. He doesn't move the needle for me, which again is maybe unfair, but I want so much more from Jack Roslovic than I think he is capable of giving, and I think the way the team is constructed at the minute makes it difficult for him to succeed. That being said, the team was so injured and they had no centers this season. Like they had, I think Sean Corrali was like the number one center for at the end of the season. You know, the potential was there for Jack Roslovic to just kind of reach out and take it, and he has done. He had stints on the top line between Gaudreau and Line the past couple of seasons, and he just didn't ever really seem to grab that potential, which is a shame because, like I said, I really wanted Jack Roslovic to succeed in Columbus. I think he did better in Columbus than he did in Winnipeg. He has hit season highs in both goals, points, and assists here. My issue is I don't know that he's a very good center, which is obviously why the Blue Jackets acquired him. So, what do you do with a center that can't play center on a team that already has too many wingers? You know, the answer is that you just kind of put him in center anyway and hope for the best, which is kind of a lot of what the Blue Jackets did this season, was hope for the best. And obviously it didn't. It did not work out even a little bit. So I'm just pulling up what Jack Roslovic's most frequent line mates were in terms of time on ice. He most frequently played with Patrick Laine and Kent Johnson. And he played 85 minutes and 21 seconds with them at 5-on-5. His total time on ice was 931 minutes. So he played less than 10% of his 5v5 time on ice was with the same line mates. So again, it's the same problem that we saw. We've been doing these season reviews for a while now. It's the same problem every single time. I go and I look and I'm like, oh, their most frequent line mates, they play together for 10% of the season, you know? And that was the sixth most popular line combination at 5-on-5. I don't know what we're doing here. I mean, I do know what we're doing here, but like That's got to be frustrating for him. I know it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for all of you. Did Jack Roslovic need to be better this season? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think the team helped. And I don't think the coaching helped. And that's the point at which you kind of need to try and help yourself. And he just didn't seem like he was doing that to me. I know he has a lot of fans in Columbus. I feel like he also has a lot of critics in Columbus. He feels very much like one of those players where you either love him or you don't. And like I said, I really wanted to like him. I love that he came back to Columbus. I love that he was born here and grew up here and, was a AAA junior Blue Jacket here. Like, it's a fun story. The hometown kid comes home. That was the first story like that for Columbus. You see it all the time with Montreal, Toronto, and Boston, and Vancouver, and, all of these big hockey cities that have junior programs that, kids played there, they go away, they come back. Like, it was a great story for about a season. And then it kind of, as the team started to improve in terms of base skill, I think Jack Roslovic kind of got a little bit left behind. I do still think that there is a place on the team for him. And we're going to talk about what that might be in just a second. But first, I've got to tell you all about AG1. I take this every single day. I heard the hype and I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what it's like. I'm tired of taking just a fistful of vitamins every morning. I'm lazy. If I can do something in one that I don't have to do in 17, I will. And AG1 is perfect for that. I drink it in the morning. I get up. I make coffee. I make tea. I drink my AG1. It's just one scoop in a cup of water, or I put it in a little water bottle and shake the heck out of it. And that's my morning. It tastes great. It makes me feel great. And since I started taking it, I feel like I'm doing something really good for my body. I'm kind of a gremlin person that exists entirely on like chicken tenders and cereal. So having something like AG1 makes me feel like I'm doing something right in my body. Covering my nutritional basis for the day couldn't be easier. I just mix one, like I said, just one scoop with water, drink it first thing every morning, done. It cost me less than $3 a day, which is less than my super expensive oat milk chai latte that I also sometimes get, which is pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with high quality sourced ingredients. It's win, 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 win. And if a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/NHL network. That is drinkag1.com/NHL network. Make sure you check it out. I haven't looked back, and neither should you. Okay, let's talk about Jack Roslovic's future with the team. Because really, there are two ways this can go. That's kind of how it works. It goes one way, it goes the other way. Either Jack Roslovic gets traded, which we'll talk about in a minute, or he stays on the team. If he stays on the team, unfortunately, I think his whole thing has to change, like his whole way that he plays the game. He was getting power play one time for a while. He, I don't believe, was killing penalties. No, he was. That is a complete lie. Of course, Jack Roslovic was killing penalties. I completely blanked on how he's one of the only competent penalty killers that they have. So, that's a big tick in his favor. And I think the Blue Jackets can always use more competent penalty killers. So I like that aspect of his game. My problem with Jack Roslovic was never the defensive side of his game. It was the offensive side of his game. And I think if you take the pressure off of him to be a top six center that, has to put up points, that has to, set up a guy like Johnny Gaudreau or a guy like Patrick Laine or a guy like Kirill Marchenko or, a Boone Jenner, whoever you want to put in that top six with Jack Roslovic, I think there was a lot of pressure on him to create that offense. Yes, he did have a lot of assists this season. I don't have the numbers for how many of those are primary versus how many was secondary, but 33 assists in 77 games is fine. However, it doesn't feel like his strength. If I'm Jarmo Kekalainen or if I'm Mike Babcock, we want to keep Jack Roslovic around. Like I said, Columbus kid, the great story. He's not making an extortionate amount of money, although if I am correct, he is up for a new contract this summer, yes. So he immediately is a prime piece for a trade deadline deal if the Blue Jackets are out of the playoffs. However, if they're not, if they decide to keep him, honestly, what I do is maybe move him to like third line wing, which I know sounds stupid, but hear me out. It allows him to have sheltered minutes, which I think he will thrive under. He doesn't have to focus on the parts of his game about being a center that I think he struggled with. Like face-offs is a big one. If they can put him on that third line with someone that can actually win face-offs, which I know for the Blue Jackets is a lot to ask. I'm just going to see if I can find face-off numbers for literally anyone, because I assume they're all bad. I think Boone Jenner might be the only face-off guy that had a plus 50% face-off percentage this season, which, again, not great. But Jack Roslovic particularly struggled, I think. He finished the season with 44.9% face-off percentage. That needs to, it needs to be better. It really does. If he wants to keep taking face-offs, if he wants to keep playing in the middle of the ice, like, that's going to have to change. So move him to wing, move him down a line. There's no space in the top six for another winger unless they decide that they want to move Kent Johnson to center. They want to move Boone Jenner down to wing, and they want to, shuffle some things around like that. But I genuinely think that if they want to keep him around, $4 million is a lot to pay for a third line winger, but it's not, like I said, it's not extortionate, and frankly, it's for a season. I do not expect Jack Roslovic to be back after this contract. Either they trade him at the deadline, he walks in free agency, he gets traded this summer. That feels like a big possibility. It feels like less of a possibility now. I wondered if he might move during the draft or during free agency. That hasn't happened yet. Because I am who I am, there's entirely possible that he will be traded between me recording this episode and me posting this episode. But if they don't trade him, that feels like where it's heading. The Blue Jackets right now, down the middle, like the ideal center lineup for me right now is, honestly, I keep Boone Jenner at top line center. I put Adam Fantilli, slot him in second line center. I put Cole Sillinger at third, and then I keep Sean Corrali at fourth. Obviously, there's some room to grow there. Does Cole Sillinger go down to the Monsters? Maybe. Dmitry Voronkov can play center. Does he come in and take that third line center spot? Does Kent Johnson move to center? Does Patrick Laine move to center? There's a bunch of moving parts. But right now, Jack Roslovic might be like 5 or 6 on my list of centers. So move him to wing. If you really want to keep him around, I think, yeah, he is a fine penalty killer. He is a fine possession player, I guess, is what I want to say. My issue with him really comes when you kind of get into the offensive zone, and it feels like every single time that Blue Jackets were on the power play, the puck would hit his stick, and then just the play would die. He would hold on to it for too long, or he would make a pass to nowhere, or he would just skate around with it until someone took it away from him, or it just, I don't know. Maybe it's confirmation bias because I was looking for it, but it really felt like genuinely every other play that he was involved in, the puck just died, and he would skate into the zone fine, and then the puck would just immediately leave the zone because he couldn't keep hold of it, or because he couldn't pass it to anyone, blah, blah, blah. So that's obviously a part of his game that they've got to fix. And I do wonder if playing against less good opponents might help him out there. There's no shame in being like a third line winger. There really isn't, especially a guy like Jack Roslovic, who was, he was a first round pick in 2015. He's 26 now. He's still young, but he is in his prime right now. He's probably not going to get better than what he was this season. He was not bad this season. The Blue Jackets, I saw this line in a season review of Jack Roslovic by Union and Blue, who are a wonderful Twitter follow. They do great work. Jack Roslovic wasn't bad. He was just ordinary, and the Blue Jackets needed him to be more than ordinary. And that was the problem, is that he was fine, but fine wasn't good enough. in a season where they needed guys to step up, he could have stepped up. He had the opportunity and he didn't do that. That's frustrating to me, to people watching. I don't know. Like I said, I really want to like Jack Roslovic. I know there are a lot of you out there that do like Jack Roslovic. It just feels like with all of the talent they have coming in, I don't know that there's room for him. You know, like looking at the top 13 forwards, I don't know if I still have that written down. So the top 13 forwards right now, Roslovic is in there, but people that aren't in there, Adam Fantilli, Dmitry Voronkov, Yegor Chinikov. Oh no, Chinikov is in there. Liam Foodie's not in there. You know, I don't know. Foodie, I assume, will be in the Monsters this season. But you get what I mean, is that suddenly I feel like his space on the team is a lot less safe than it was 4 months ago. And if he can show up to training camp and prove that he deserves to be on the team over a guy like Justin Danforth, for example, more power to him. I don't know that he will. And that's a shame. But it's unfortunately, it's just kind of how it is. In a minute, we're gonna give out. I say we, like Hayden's still here. I'm gonna give out a letter grade, and we're also gonna talk a little bit about potential trade return, because if they are gonna move him, they're gonna have to get something back. What's that something gonna be? Let's talk about that in just a second here on Locked On Blue Jackets. All right, let's talk Jack Roslovic trade, and then we'll give out a grade, because I'm still mulling over the grade in my head. He has been mentioned as a guy that is available for quite a while now. I don't know how likely it is that he moves. If I'm Jarmo Kekalainen, I don't know, he's on my list of guys to move. He's near the top. But what do you get back for him is the thing. Honestly, I would have loved to get like a second round pick in the draft. That's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it seems like that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a draft. It's not going to be a trade for picks at this point. I could see something like I know my friend JD Young, host of Locked On Sharks, has talked about how he would take Jack Roslovic on his team as a depth centerpiece for them. More power to him. So I wonder if something like a late-ish, like a third round pick, maybe, and a prospect that just isn't gelling in the Sharks system. I don't know who that would be. I'm just going to pull up the Sharks cap friendly page for a second. And like that feels a third and a kind of a mid prospect that, again, the Sharks are struggling with, or maybe someone that's not going to make it. So God, I don't know. Someone like an Aussie Weisblatt, maybe, who is a former, I believe, a former late first / early second round pick. Spent some time in the ECHL this season and didn't really wow anyone in limited minutes with the Barracuda this year. So do you take someone like that and hope that your system can kind of reinvent him and turn him into at least a serviceable piece for the Monsters? Do you just trade him for a couple of second round pick and that's it, and just be done with it? Do you eat salary and see if you can get something a little bit more enticing? I don't know. There's definitely options there. There's a article here where they talk about the Canucks from April 25th. Does Columbus eat a year of salary or eat $1 million in salary, excuse me, and then get 2 third-round picks for him? You know, who knows? But that's kind of that's kind of the thing that I'm looking at the minute, is either a low pick and a mid prospect, or a slightly higher pick, or maybe even a slightly less mid prospect. But in my mind, I don't think anyone's giving up a slightly less mid prospect. I can't think of any prospects off the top of my head that would do that, like that would move the needle like that. In my mind, you move him without retaining salary. Yes, it's only for a year. So if you have to move salary, if you have to retain salary to get more out, like, do you retain half of his salary? Do you eat $2 million of his salary and then maybe get someone's first round pick? If someone has an extra first round pick lying around, I know they don't grow on trees, but St. Louis had 3 of them this year somehow. Do you take a pick that's probably going to be in the late 20s and then eat $2 million of Jack Roslovic's salary? So that's kind of where I'm at. I'll be interested to see if he does go. My instinct is that he probably is on the opening night roster. For how long, I'm not sure. But Yamo has surprised us before, and Yamo will surprise us again. So we'll see. And also, Mike Babcock might get more out of Jack Roslovic than Brad Larson managed to. I think we've talked at length about my wariness in terms of Mike Babcock, but there's no doubt that he's a better coach than Brad Larson. So maybe he will work his magic with Jack Roslovic, and he'll have some kind of career resurgence. He'll be that third line center that they need, and he'll sign here and get to retire here, and it'll be a great story about the hometown Blue Jacket kid, etc., etc. Let's hand out a letter grade. I'm giving him a C because, again, I keep going back to that Union and Blue thing. He wasn't bad. He was just ordinary when the Blue Jackets needed him to be more than that. And in my mind, grading works a little different over here. I still can't wrap my head around how American grades work. To me, a C is acceptable. It's not great. It's acceptable. And that's what Jack Roslovic was this season, I think, is he was fine. Unfortunately, I wanted him to be more than fine. I think $4 million, you want more than fine, especially for a guy that ostensibly was going to be your future second-line center until he lost that job to several other people. So we'll see. I really have no feelings for or against them trading him. It really depends on what they get back. I won't be sad if they trade him in terms of hockey, like in terms of for hockey reasons. I'll be a little bit sad if they trade him because, like I said, I like the hometown kid story. I think the narrative is fun. I know he and Sean Corelli are pretty close, and it always bums me out a little bit when you trade someone's friend away. But for hockey reasons, I won't be sad if he's traded. For hockey reasons, I also probably won't be too upset if he's here next season. I expect him to take a way smaller role this season just because of the talent that's coming in. And again, like I said, that might help his game. I think he, not more than anyone else, but I think he definitely suffered in the Blue Jackets don't have anyone else, so we're going to put him up and play him for 1 million minutes and hope for the best, So he played, let me just double check, because I feel like he was like the third. He played the most at 5v5. Only only 3 players played more than him at 5v5, and that was Johnny Gaudreau, Boone Jenner, and Kent Johnson. Wild, truly wild. So play him less minutes, give them more sheltered minutes, and I think you'll see a very different Jack Roslovic. Or he'll be a San Jose Shark, and we'll only have to see him twice a year. Either way, it's going to be less of an issue. I foresee me getting annoyed by Jack Roslovic way less this season, either because he won't be there or because he'll be doing something different, which good for him. That's kind of it for today. You guys should come and hang out tonight. Hayden and I are doing a live show. We're calling it Locked On Blue Jackets Happy Hour. And we're just going to have a beer. We're going to have a chat about how the week's gone for the Blue Jackets. We're going to talk about kind of whatever we want. I think what we'll probably do is just kind of have a chat about things. If you guys have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments for this. Feel free to come along to the live show and leave them there. Come and hang out if you want. I don't think it's going to be fun. Just a kind of a low stakes hangout. I think we're going to try and do it maybe once a month, every couple of weeks. And like I said, we'll have fun with it. So come and hang out at that tonight. It's going to be, I believe, at 6:30 Eastern PM. But I'll tweet everything out so you guys know what's going on, where it's going on, and how long it's going on for, and all of that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day, Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms. We are over on YouTube. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please feel free to do so. We're getting closer and closer to the next milestone. We want to try and hit 500 subscribers before opening night in October. And we are, I believe, at 59 or 60 subscribers to get to that point, which is super, super exciting. So hit subscribe there if you haven't already. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find Hayden at HaydenH971 on Twitter. He'll be back for the hangout tonight and also on Monday's show. You can find the show at LO_Bluejackets. If you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email me at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. And until tomorrow, or until later tonight, excuse me, I'm recording this on Thursday night, that's why I said. Until later tonight, make sure you stay locked on.